This is my next game, Kung Fu Clairvoyance, and still under development. Last week I talked about this dragon boss, but somehow the body was still too stiff. Well, it moved, but it was just a simple sprite. I wanted to have some movement like a snake. There are many ways to achieve this. In old times, you could use a lot of sprites, like this old game from the 90s, Space Harrier, in which sprites are rendered to make the illusion of snake-style creature. But I feel I can do better than that, and instead make use of Spline's curve. Simply make the body follow a spline curve so it can be deformed, and after a day I had a pretty convincing deformation of the body of this boss. Took me a little bit more than I was planning, but it looks good now. So the body, as you can see now, is formed by triangles. You can see hundreds of these triangles, and each one follow a central spline. So when I move the control points of the spline, the body of this boss will also deform, giving the movement that I was looking for. It is quite simple once implemented and not that heavy, and still getting over 200 frames per second while playing the game, without much optimization. So for now, this is complete. Next, there was a bug in my particle system that I couldn't fix for many months. Well, usually this should not be that difficult for a normal game in which you can create and destroy particles and reuse them as needed. But in my game, this is much more complicated and requires a lot of memory and can make the game run very slow if it's not carefully managed. Let me explain why. Have you ever played a game where you can rewind time? In this game you can do it and take advantage of that to win battles and avoid mistakes, but in order to go back in time I need to record everything that happens every frame. So every position of every character, attack, status and much more needs to be recorded per frame, and this also includes the particles. I had this bug in which particles stop appearing after some time, or simply disappearing for no particular reason. After some more digging into it, many were not recycled, so the game ran out of particles to use after a few minutes of gameplay. This was very visible in this boss battle, where small rocks and dust particles were not displayed, and even impact sprites started to fail. For this game I decided to enable up to 50,000 particles, but not all 50,000 are available to use in a single frame, so each frame can use up to 50 particles of each type per frame. This doesn't sound like too much, but let me show you these metrics here on the left so you can see how things change in terms of particles over time. When you do the math, this is a huge problem. Running at 60 frames per second, for example, and 50 particles per frame, that means 3000 particles in just 1 second. And in this example, you can rewind about 400 frames of gameplay at any time. So that's about 20,000 particles that I have to keep in memory all the time. Have two different types of particles, and that can be 40,000 particles. So you can easily go over 50,000 particles. And you can think an easy solution should be to increase the number to 100,000 for example, which is true, but the problem later is that by having so many particles creates a bottleneck when you rewind time. The more particles used, the slower the game will be when rewinding time. This happens because I have a list of particles that keep track of all the particles in use, but when you want to clear or recycle one, you need to find the particle in the list and move it to the free list. Do this when you have 50,000 particles in memory, and this search can take a lot of time. So I think I need a better way to search and recycle particles. At this moment doesn't have too much time, but it's quite visible when you rewind a lot of time. The game slows down and you can even see the fire animation running fast later when trying to catch up in game time. Before I did not have this problem because the game failed to recycle particles, but now that it's working perfectly, the search and recycle needs a better algorithm, which I will think during the week. This week it doesn't look like a lot of progress, but actually I fit dozens of minor or small bugs. At least it is looking better every week. And that's it for this week. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to support my work, please click like and subscribe, and click on the notification bell so you do not miss my next update. Thank you so much for watching my journey. See you next week.